Yo, patrons! This is Johannes from Noisepod, and today I'm updating Solid to version 1.10. And this update is just all about user comments, and it has been a bit of a journey and really interesting to release Solid, because when I released it, I thought that this is a plugin that most people won't get because you're working with low frequencies below 30 hertz, often below 30 hertz, or between 20 and 30 hertz, sometimes below 20 hertz. And most people don't have rooms, treated rooms, or speakers that can handle that can give you a representation of what's down there. And yeah, most speakers don't go that low. But it turns out that I know that I had a lot of great mastering engineers as patrons, and I've been grateful for that because your comments really mean something that makes my plugins better. But I didn't know that it was so many. And when you started to telling me what speakers you had, I was just, oh, all right, you can hear what this plugin does. Yeah, that's cool. You have great studios, and it's really cool to know that my plugins are used daily for mastering Grammy stuff and yeah, really cool music. It's really fun. Yeah, enough of that. Let's talk about the changes. So the problem with the first version of Solid, because there's not that many changes in this version. The problem was that the settings that come as default, the default settings, they were made dialed in as a representation of this is where you may end up when you're done dialing it in. And I got a lot of comments about that. Some of you just said that it seemed to react wrong, but when I explained how you're supposed to use it, then you got back to me and said that okay, now it makes sense. Now it's easy to dial in. So I thought, let's make a version that's that starts with a great starting point instead of trying to do something that maybe sounds good, because it's really just a maybe. If your track that you tried it with was similar to my demo, then yeah, then it was a good setting. But it's if you work with classical music, for example, then it's not. So I changed the default settings and I added a little button here, which we're going to talk about. This little auto button here. Let's zoom in. This little thing there. All right. So the difference is that I changed the limiter. It's bypassed when we start the plugin because I'm not always using the limiter. And if I use it just to limit a little bit or compress. So it's not always that I put it in limiter mode. And I changed the input gain here so that it's not as, yeah, it's less than it used to be. And that's pretty, yeah, I also added a couple of milliseconds to the delay so that the low end starts, the new low end starts a little bit earlier than it used to do. It's closer to where you usually end up at this point. So those are the settings that have changed. The rest of the plugin is the same. So let's start with the auto button just to explain what that does. You've seen that in other of my plugins. So if I hit play, and touch that auto button, it will adjust the input gain for the thresholds that will bypass the plugin, so that you have a decent level. And that's just what that will do. Usually you don't need, if you have a good level that you're working on or working at, then it's probably good with the default setting. But if the input gain is all up here in the top position, then just play the music at the loudest point of the track and hit A, and it will adjust, so you will have a good start point. And the input gain. So here's what you gonna do when you use this. You hit play, you wait to the most intense part of the track. Usually that's the best place to dial this in. Then you adjust the input gain here. So just increase it a little bit until the meter around here just touch the top position. So I added another meter that is slower as well, so you can see how often you hit the max position. And you're not supposed to, the more wide meter, that's the outer meter, that's the quick meter, that's not supposed to get stuck up here at the max position, because if you do that, then you add too much low end. It's not a natural low end. But if it's just touch that sometimes, and the slower meter maybe gets stuck there a little bit, but you can see it moving most of the time, then you have a great, that's the most natural low end that you can create with Solid. It's not always what you want, but that's a great starting point. Then you know what this is. What if this audio was not artificially created, or the low end wasn't artificially created, this is what it would probably look like if this was a part of the original signal. This is what the low end would look like. And we will have a look, we will listen how that sounds, so you can see, and I will show it on the meter on span here, so you can see that, because it's pretty easy to spot. And after that, if you get overs at times, that the low end gets a little bit too much, then you start to use the limiter, and I put it on compression mode instead of hard limiting, and you just dial it back until you can see the gain reduction meter start to lit up a little bit, and the distortion goes away at the highest peaks. Then you're then you're good to go. Then you have set up a really natural sounding low end. If you want to exaggerate the effect, then you can start to limit harder, and you can increase the input gain, or you can raise the gain knob so that you get more of an artificial just a crazy low end, if you like. That doesn't really behave like the natural low end that Solid is really created for initially. All right, let's do that. Let's do these settings. So we're gonna hit play. It will take a while before the kick starts, and I'm just gonna wait until the kick starts before I do the settings. But watch me dial this in. So remember, watch the meter around the amount knob here. And when we're just licking the top here, then we're good.
You never know when to say yes or when to say no. Even though I did a pretty good job myself, they fucked me up to the very last.
These are pretty good settings. Oh, I realized that I had the threshold a little bit in. Okay, doesn't matter really. But these are quite good settings. This will give you a natural low end, and you could see on the span here on the meter, and I limited it down to so that we see the frequencies from 20 to 100 hertz here. So that's what we're seeing, and it's just because it's just a low one that is interesting. The rest of the signal is left untouched, so that's not too interesting. So I'm gonna play it again, and I'm gonna toggle bypass a little bit so you can see what happens with the spectrum in the low end.
You never know when to say yes or when to say no. Even though I did a pretty good job myself, they fucked me up to the very last cell. Of course I didn't know, cause I wasn't really there. How could I know, cause I wasn't really there?
And I'm pretty happy with these settings. Yeah, so it's really quick to dial in when you do this. As you can see, I raised the input gain a little bit until we started to hit the max position, and the wide meter didn't stay there. It just licks that a little bit. You could see on the grayish meter that's slower, that got stuck a little bit. That's not an issue because it doesn't show you the real peak values. It's just a slow down meter to see that, okay, I'm at the max position. So that's fine. And to be sure, I used the limiter a little bit. So or the compressor, I used it in compressor mode because it's more on the compressor side than the limit side. So this means pretty much that it's infinite to 1 when it's at the max position. And down here, it's really just, I don't remember if I removed all the compression at the lowest position, or it's just like 1.4 or something like that. So it's not that hard compression. So this probably is 3 to 1 or something like that. So these settings, I'm fine. Now it does what Solid is supposed to do. So let's have a little bit of fun and see if we can exaggerate the effect and see if that gives any beneficial stuff to the signal. Probably will just be a lot of rumble down there, but we will see. No music. Let's start again.
You never know when to say yes or when to say no. Even though I did a pretty good job myself, they fucked me up to the very last cell. Of course I didn't.
I found a little thing. It's not a bug, but need to change how the auto button works a little bit, because if you push the gain like I did in this situation, just crazy gain, when you hit reset on the auto button, it's too slow, so it doesn't, even if it actually adjusts the gain, the meter is taking too long to glide down to the right position. So I need to address that, but I'm gonna do that in an update because it's not that big of an issue. I don't think you're gonna push the input gain this much. This was just for demo purposes, so I think it's fully functional anyway. But I'm gonna fix that. I will note that and do that in the next update. All right. I think that's enough of talking about version 1.10 of Solid. And again, thank you for all the nice words. Thank you for liking this plugin. I thought that no one would get this plugin, but it seems that more people understand it than I thought, and I'm glad about that because I often make functions that's just going over the head of a lot of people. It feels like that anyway. So I'm grateful that you like it, and I hope you like the update. And I see you with the next plugin or thing that I do. All right. Have a great weekend, and bye-bye.